I rely heavily on my sight, as I'm sure most of us do. Here you are now watching this video, possibly feeling a sense of loss or even boredom staring at a black screen, void of the flashing, bright images you as a viewer have become so accustomed to seeing. However, not everyone can simply rely on sight. The blind and visually impaired youth at the Kentucky School for the Blind have had to learn how to rely on things other than sight in order to successfully live within a world so heavily built for the sighted. For today's story, On the Record wanted to get a closer look inside the Kentucky School for the Blind, the third oldest blind school in the nation, so we could get a better understanding of how the Kentucky School for the Blind sets up their blind and visually impaired students to live the most fulfilling, joyful, and independent lives possible, all right within Louisville. Hayden Ashley is one of many students attending the Kentucky School for the Blind, learning ways to live with his visual impairment and overcome the difficulties that accompany it. Unlike schools without a specialized population, the Kentucky School for the Blind is able to individually accommodate their students' classroom needs through a variety of measures. In Hayden's case, since he is still learning Braille, he has a Braille teacher that accompanies him to his classes and helps him understand and fill out his Braille work, whilst teaching him the language of Braille. For other students, the school's accommodations may present themselves through provided resources such as calculators with voice commands or Braille note touches, or by altering the physical environments of their classrooms.
The planning, just like any teacher here, has to make accommodations and think of how to teach in a different way and how to make things tactual so that the kids can, learn better. Mm-hmm. And the books, we have, of course, large print, we have Braille, we have Twin Vision, so there's a lot more to the collection than in just a normal, public high school that doesn't have a specialized population.
Some of them are very light sensitive, so we have to have the lights off and the lights dimmer, or they have issues with glare. Other students need a lot more light so that they can actually see what's in front of them. And yet then there's the other students that are completely blind.
KSB utilizes the expanded core curriculum, which combines average educational skills with additional life skill classes, such as orientation and mobility skills, which help visually impaired students navigate the world around them.
We learn how to cook, budget for groceries, buy groceries, stuff like that. That's where I learned how to mop and stuff. It's pretty cool. Basically, I get to choose what we do, instead of following a very strict schedule that other people follow.
They've taught us how to get around our ECC skills, O&M skills, to navigate the real world, as I call it. Mm-hmm. Different ways for being more independent and self-advocating is one of the things they really emphasize.
Mm-hmm. And success in this independence building can be found across the board.
One of the best stories I have, I was eating at a restaurant in Louisville with my daughter, and there was a lift who pulled up to the curb, and out popped a former student and his girlfriend. And they are both totally blind, and they walked in to Five Guys, and we were sitting outside of Blaze, and I see it all, and I didn't want to go up and say anything. I waited till they got their food, and then they came out. And we're, of course, to find a table when you're blind, you just have to feel around with your cane, and people, in their environment were saying, oh, someone's sitting at this table, and then someone said, oh, here's an open table. And so I went up and was talking to them, and they were like, yeah, they were in college still, and they said, we've just gotten back from a trip from Europe. And I was like, yes, like a trip to Europe, and you just took a lift and came here to eat independently and confidently, and that's what it's all about. Like, that made me just be like, yes, I had a tiny part of that.
Mm-hmm. Like Mr. Stockhausen said, I like seeing the kids be successful at something that's not necessarily academic. So when we would have our Christmas concerts or the athletic events, or even if they are enjoying talking about a book or something like that, I really get a kick out of seeing the kids like that.
One of the most unique parts of the Kentucky School for the Blind is the supportive community they have fostered here.
This school, I came in with about 20 years in education, and I've been 3 or 4 districts a lot. I've jumped around some, And this is a special place just because the kiddos, they're very kind to one another. They're all in the same boat. So they all know they don't make fun of each other. You know how kids just casually will, there's just very little of that here. If they've got vision, they help the ones who don't. You'll see them say, oh, Jackie, over here, is your table. They become like helpers to the kids that are totally blind. So it's just a really special place. And when I first got here, I would think, oh, I wish that every high school student who's having issues could come here and see what our kids overcome every day, and they have the best attitude about it, and it's just, it's a special place.
If there's one thing the Kentucky School for the Blind has taught me, it's that successfully going into the world alone does not mean you have to be by yourself.
What are some things you want people to take away from your story?
Just take some time. Not everybody's like everybody else. They're different. Take some time to get to know them. Or even just walking by a stranger. Just like stop, say hi. If they're blind, ask them before deciding that you want to help them. Ask them for help, because who knows? Maybe they're just walking through a place that they've walked a million times before. Maybe they're walking somewhere new.
Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't just assume somebody's gonna have trouble doing something just because they're blind or they have trouble seeing or they have a cane. They can still do pretty much as anything that you can.
In some communities, people feel like people with visual impairments are less capable, but we're completely capable of doing like everything that a completely sighted person can't do. We just need like maybe some different accommodations, or maybe tactile graphics, or whatever it is. We can do it, we just need it different.
KSB was never meant to be a place for blind and visually impaired youth to hide from the world. It's a place for them to water their roots and grow, to form long-lasting friendships and perseverance, to let the world see them. If you'd like to get involved with helping the Kentucky School for the Blind, I've linked the website for their charitable foundation. There you can find out more information on how to become a sponsor, donate, or get involved with fundraisers. Any help is greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching.